How's it going, friends? Welcome to your BitVenue Report. Today is Thursday, March 23rd, and first things first, I have very good news, and it's that Do Kwon, the creator of Terra Luna, has been arrested in Montenegro. Sorry, I've had very little planning time to do all this stuff, but yeah, he was detained in Montenegro while he was trying to flee the country. He was going to an airport and they caught him with fake documents, with fake passports, and for now, it's believed that it is him. The authorities were waiting for confirmation. But with this, we could say that he's the main actor responsible for the bursting of the bubble. Now, we are not going to say that he's the real reason why we are seeing everything fail, because in reality, it's because of the fraud that exists in the banking system. But he's the one who began everything at the moment he created Terra Luna. It was a Ponzi scam. You were warned that it was a Ponzi scam. Investment funds began to fall, and from there, exchanges also began to fall. Exchanges that basically did exactly the same thing that banks do. In the case of FTX, take customers' money and move it somewhere else, saying they still have the money there, but they don't have it. The banks do exactly the same, but oh yeah, there's no problem in the case of crypto. Well, there is a problem. FTX fell, Alameda Research fell, from there Silvergate Bank began to fail. I mean, there were hundreds of companies, but the most important, and in a linear way, was like this. First Silvergate, and then Silicon Valley Bank, Signature Bank, and so on. And right now, we have Credit Suisse failing. And it all started with Terra Luna. So yes, he has been arrested, so this is excellent news, and you've got to celebrate it. Moving on to economic news, we have yesterday's stocks at the end of the day. Once the speech was given and it was announced how much the rates were going to rise, in fact, in my video yesterday, I said, look at this, it's rising because there is no more wow factor. We all knew that it was going to go up 0.25%. It's not going to surprise us at all. In the afternoon, they finished falling. Why did the stocks fall? Because Janet Yellen, well, truthfully, I often say that there has never been a way to protect everyone, to guarantee everyone's bank deposits, and that they haven't discussed it yet. That created fear in investors and caused them to fall. Did she do the right thing? The truth is yes. In other words, it's true that you cannot guarantee deposits. If you're afraid of having money in the bank, take it out. Is there any risk involved? Yes, there is. Some say, oh, I didn't know. This bank crashed and I had my money there. Yes, you knew. If you watch these videos, you know exactly how these banks operate. If you're afraid of how they run, don't put your money there. Dead stop. In other words, you also have to be responsible on the other hand. I also have money in the bank. I'm not going to say that I took it out. No, not at all. I keep in the bank what I'm willing to lose, period. I know that if it goes to hell, well, oh well. I knew the risk. I understood it. We also have here the Federal Reserve Jerome Powell warned us yesterday that the interest rate was going up, 0.25%. I'm not surprised. I already said it. In fact, I predicted what he was going to say. I predicted that he was going to raise it one more time. And I said that it seems that what they are trying to do is not affect the credibility of the Fed. Because if the Fed had already said that it was going to go up 5.25, he's going to go up to 5.25. So as not to create a lack of confidence and distrust. And that if things start going bad and the Fed starts to backtrack, although right now we know that things are really bad, but they have to come out and say this. They have to raise it. Oh well, they are locked in and this is why. In fact, Jerome Powell admitted that they no longer wanted to raise interest rates, but economic factors continued indicating that they had to. And it's also because, remember that the intention of Jerome Powell with raising interest rates is to curb inflation. The Fed doesn't really have tools to, let's see, the rise of prices is what is known as inflation. Remember that it's a symptom of there being too much cash money in the market. Jerome Powell is the inflation lead actor. The Fed are the main actors, but they can't do much to make prices fall. The only thing they can do is destroy the economy a little so that there is an economic recession. And so people don't have to spend. Through the use of credits, they can make it so people don't have jobs. But this isn't the only way to lower the price increases on goods. In fact, here in Mexico, and right now I'm going to switch to that topic, is that in Mexico, inflation has just been lowered. Then, oh, you're going to say, well, that's why the economy is slowing down, right? No. Actually, in Mexico, we had an increase of 1.6% in monthly retail sales. This means that sales have increased, but prices went up. What is this due to? One, the super peso, obviously. Two, that energy prices are also falling. And moreover, that, well, yes, being honest, even if the right wing is shocked that the president's strategy of reducing prices makes sense. What is President Obrador's strategy? Open the markets. This is the most economically sound, and I love it, because he is more capitalist than those on the right. I'm talking about the markets. Right now, it's from Argentina. Already, they are going to start exporting meat. I don't eat meat, but for those who do, well, they will have more abundance of food, and that will reduce prices, as well as the prices of domestic flights by foreign airlines. And you'll have national airlines come out and complain, oh no, it's the worst, because it's market competition. This will cause the prices on flights to lower, and you don't have to destroy the economy through an economic recession. But how do you explain this to Keynesians? Going back to unemployment claims in the United States, they fall again, and they ignore the efforts of the Fed. They ignore Powell's requests and prayers and chants that will surely be in the evenings to see if the economy falls a little bit. Because they fell down to 192,000. They were already down to 191,000. And now, turning to England, yesterday I was informing you guys that inflation had increased. Well, they had to also raise rates again. In the world of stocks, Coinbase fell 16% because yesterday they warned that they are probably going to be sued by the SEC. In the case of Block, formerly known as Square, they are falling 18% after a report came out saying that 75% of its users' accounts are fake. Let's see quickly how the stock markets are doing as they open, and open in the green. S&P 501.31, the Dow 1.06, Nasdaq 1.94, Russell 2000 up 0.8%. Petrol crude regains its life and rises 0.24. Gold just a shred away from reaching $2,000 per ounce, having been at $11.91. Silver up 2.17. The euro versus the dollar rises 0.34, while 10-year government bonds are buying strongly. No, don't believe that the Fed will be able to raise rates while we have the pound sterling climbing 0.5 versus the dollar. In the case of the Japanese yen, up 0.54 to the dollar. As for Bitcoin, it fell slightly, 0.64. This is a graph of unemployment aid. It's going back down, and this is bad news for the Fed. They're not paying attention to it. Looking at 2-year government bonds, nope, they don't believe that the Fed is going to be able to raise rates or maintain them high. In fact, they are already foretelling a fall in interest rates. 1-year Treasury bonds, we also have them at 4.45. The Fed would have to lower interest rates. Seeing how the Mexican peso is doing, it is gaining ground against the dollar, and that's why I told you that the Mexican peso is not finished earning against the dollar. No matter who may disagree, like it or not, the Chayotero opposition is already saying that the super peso is over. No effing way. And the super peso continues. And so we have, at the moment, the dollar falling against the peso. Checking how the peso is doing in Argentina, the dollar in Argentina is worth 386 Argentinian pesos, already flirting very closely with those 400 pesos per dollar. Meanwhile, we have DXY and the dollar is falling sharply. The dollar is losing its value strongly. Why? Because we already know the amount of the last rise of rates, so we no longer have to speculate in this regard. We already know exactly how they're going to raise an extra 0.25%. This is no longer surprises you. There is no uncertainty. All right. So then, well, I hope that you have liked this video. If so, please hit that like button, leave a comment below, share this video so that we reach more people. I invite you to subscribe in case you are not subscribed. See you in the next video. Take good care. Bye.